Alamin natin ang mga programa at aktibidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Kamara, House of the People. Tuwing Sabado at replays, tuwing Linggo, dito lang sa inyong favorite music radio.
The session is now called to order. Majority Leader. With 175 members responding to the call, the Chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, considering that copies of Journal Number 50 dated on February 12, 2024, we are already distributed to the members, I move to dispense with the reading thereof and subsequently to approve the said journal. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The reading of Journal Number 50 dated February 12, 2024 is dispensed with and the same is hereby approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and request that the Secretary General be directed to read the titles of the bills and resolutions on first reading as well as communications and committee reports. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The Secretary General is directed to read the titles of bills and resolutions on first reading, as well as communications and committee reports for referral to the appropriate committees.
Reference of business, bills on first reading. House Bill numbers 9905 and 9906, increasing the bed capacity of the Bacnotan and Balawan District Hospitals in the province of La Union from 25 to 50 beds, by Representative Ortega.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 9908, regulating and modernizing the practice of medical laboratory science in the Philippines, by Representative Arenas.
To the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation.
House Bill 9909, prescribing the use of government-issued documents in job applications, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment and the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation.
House Bill 9910, renaming Barangay New Alabang Village in the Lone District of Muntinlupa City as Barangay Ayala Alabang, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 9911, prescribing the authority of the NHA to grant condonation to its socialized housing beneficiaries with delinquent accounts, by Representative Gintu.
To the Committee on Housing and Urban Development.
House Bill 9912, establishing the Rojas Drug Rehabilitation Center in Rojas, Capiz, by Representative Gintu.
To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs.
House Bill 9913, mandating the employment of licensed healthcare professionals and certified security and safety officers in every school in the country, by Representative Tutor.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture and the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 9914, setting minimum standards on administrative professionals and personnel of all basic education schools nationwide, by Representative Alonte.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 9915, creating Barangay Mapit in Kiangan, Ifugao, by Representative Chungalao.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 9916, requiring internet service providers to deliver a minimum standard for internet connection speed, by Representative Bolilia.
To the Committee on Information and Communications Technology.
House Bill 9917, expanding the coverage of micro-enterprises as beneficiaries of the Magna Carta for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, by Representative Bolilia.
To the Committee on Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Development.
House Bill 9918, recognizing the foreign decree of termination of marriage and allowing its subsequent registration with the Philippine Civil Registry, by Representatives Mercado Revilla, Revilla Bryan, and Revilla Ramonjolo.
To the Committee on Population and Family Relations.
House Bill 9919, seeking to integrate the curricula of all public and private schools, colleges, and universities education on Philippine women victims and survivors of wartime sexual coercion, slavery, and violence during the Japanese occupation of the Philippines, by Representatives Mercado Revilla, Revilla Bryan, and Revilla Ramonjolo.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture and the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
Resolutions. House Resolution 1584, expressing profound condolences of the House and awarding of posthumous Congressional Medal of Distinction in the field of business for Zenaida Rustia Tantoco, by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1585, directing the Committee on Public Order and Safety to immediately conduct an investigation into the reported arrest and detention of filmmaker Jade Castro and his companions for alleged perpetration of arson by Representative Fernandez.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1586, urging the appropriate committee of the House to conduct an inquiry into the landslide in Davao de Oro, resulting in massive deaths despite the no-build zone implemented in the area, and reviewing existing laws regulated by the Mines and Geosciences Bureau by Representatives Tulfo Erwin, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Yap Edvic, Yap Eric, and Gonzaga.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1587, directing the Committee on Natural Resources to conduct an investigation on the devastating landslide in Barangay Masara, Maco, Davao de Oro, which claimed the lives of at least 54 miners and residents, while 63 others remain missing due to the large-scale mining operations of Apex Mining Corporation, by Representatives Brosas, Castro France, and Manuel.
To the Committee on Rules.
Communications, letters dated January 31st and February 5, 2024, of the BSP Bank Officer 6, Office of the General Counsel and Legal Services, transmitting to the House duly certified copies of certain BSP issuances.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
Email dated January 22, 2024 of the Municipal Mayor of Sison, Pangasinan, submitting to the House a copy of their agency action plan and status of implementation as of December 31st on audit observations and recommendations of the Commission on Audit for the calendar year 2022.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Various letters and reports submitted by local government chief executives and officials regarding their fund utilization and status of program project implementation of the Local Government Support Fund.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Annual Audit Report of the Land Bank of the Philippines for the years ending December 31st, 2021 and December 31st, 2022.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Report dated February 12, 2024 of the Honorable Secretary General of the House of Representatives on copies of the following enrolled bills which were returned to the Senate on February 8, 2024 and to be transmitted to the Office of the President for His Excellency's consideration and signature pursuant to Section 18H, Rule 6 of the Rules of the House of Representatives. Consolidated Senate Bill 1359 and House Bill numbers 6483 and 7584, mandating public and private educational institutions to allow disadvantaged students with unpaid tuition and other school fees to take the periodic and final examinations. Consolidated Senate Bill 2001 and House Bill 6510, providing for a new passport law. Consolidated Senate Bill 2028 and House Bill 7535, granting benefits to Filipino octogenarians and nonagenarians. Consolidated Senate Bill 2221 and House Bill 7325, providing for the Magna Carta of Filipino seafarers, and Consolidated Senate Bill 2426 and House Bill 8525, mandating the formulation, funding, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of a comprehensive multi-year Tatak Pinoy Proudly Filipino strategy. Committee reports. Committee report numbers 963 and 964, submitted with the Committees on Higher and Technical Education and Appropriations on House Bill numbers 9925 and 9926, respectively.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, under the calendar of business for today, I move that we consider House Bill number 9870 as contained in Committee Report 945, submitted by the Committee on Housing and Urban Development. And for this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of House Bill number 9870.
House Bill number 9870, an act mandating the allocation of an area for information and communication technology infrastructure and facilities in subdivisions and housing development projects.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Chairperson of the Committee on Housing and Urban Development, the Honorable Francisco Benitez of the 3rd District of Negros Occidental, be recognized to begin sponsorship of the measure.
The Honorable Representative Francisco Benitez is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Committee on Housing and Urban Development and the principal authors of the measure, Congressman Christian Tel Yap and Congressman Ino D., and the 52 co-authors from the committee, it is my honor to present for the consideration of this August Chamber Committee Report number 945, containing the text of House Bill number 9870, which mandates developers of subdivision projects to allocate space and make provisions for ICT infrastructure and facilities. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, this measure will address the perennial lack of ICT infrastructure and contribute to improving internet access in the country. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we need to accelerate the development of ICT infrastructure, such as telecom towers and fiber optic networks, so that we won't be left behind as the world gears up towards the fourth industrial revolution. According to an Asian Development Bank report, the Philippines has one of the lowest telecom tower densities in Southeast Asia. Citing the ICT data, the report shows that the Philippines has 27,000 telecom towers, or 164 towers per 1 million population, which is only a fifth of Vietnam's at 925 towers per 1 million population. The report adds that according to the ICT, the Philippines needs an additional 60,000 telecom towers by 2031. Kailangan natin patibayin ang ating ICT infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, para bumilis ang ating internet. According to a report by OpenSignal, a global mobile analytics company, the Philippines still lags in terms of internet speed among the ASEAN 5. Download speed in the Philippines is only 21.6 Mbps, behind the 24.9 Mbps speed in Vietnam and far from download speed of Singapore, which is at 70.6 Mbps. Malaking tulong, Mr. Speaker, kung mabilis na makakapagtayo ng towers ang telecom companies and internet service providers sa mga subdivision. More so in highly urbanized areas where space is becoming scarce due to competing uses. At the height of the pandemic, Mr. Speaker, when demand for internet surged, as we shifted to remote work and distance education, the Anti-Red Tape Authority initiated the streamlining of the process to obtain permits, licenses, and clearances for the construction of telecom towers, including the approval of homeowners associations. Republic Act 11494, or the Bayanihan II law, also stressed the need to expedite the construction and installation of ICT infrastructure, and accordingly temporarily suspended requirements to secure permits and clearances for the same. Republic Act 11517 was also passed to institutionalize the power of the President to suspend or waive requirements for permits during times of national emergency. Also recently, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. issued Executive Order number 32 to institutionalize the simplification of the permitting process for the construction of telecom and internet infrastructure. Building on this, a law, Mr. Speaker, is necessary to once and for all ease up access and entry of internet service providers and perhaps telecom companies into subdivisions to build ICT infrastructures and facilities. Many developers and homeowners associations have expressed concern about this. A common concern is the perceived health risk of radiation from telecom towers so near houses. This, Mr. Speaker, is just a perception. This is, however, a common misconception, which the World Health Organization has already addressed and corrected. The bill does mandate that ICT developers must comply and conform with existing standards and rules and regulations in terms of the design and perimeter distance of ICT infrastructure to ensure public health and safety. Mr. Speaker, homeowners will not be harmed by the presence of telecom towers in the vicinity of their homes. Rather, they stand to benefit from faster internet and greater coverage that these towers will provide. Although the bill is in fact technology neutral with regards to the type of ICT infrastructure that can benefit the residents. Mr. Speaker, the world is now in the course of a data revolution, of an automation revolution enabled by cyber-physical systems. Pero tayo sa Pilipinas, nagsisimula pa lang ang ating digital revolution. Kailangan na nating magmadali. This bill aims to make it easier and faster for internet service providers to locate their towers and other types of facilities, for example, inside subdivisions and other residential developments. It mandates developers to reserve a portion, for example, of the open space in their future housing projects for ICT infrastructure and facilities. In existing subdivisions, it is the homeowners associations that must identify areas for ICT infrastructure and facilities. It does not mean, however, Mr. Speaker, that the use of this space will be free of charge. ICT providers must purchase or lease the space. Furthermore, it requires